Yashodanandana Ramuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Radhikacharya, Saraswati ki, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai, Namacharya Thakur ki jai, Prem Sagaho, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Sri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakti ki jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopika, Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai, Sri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadip Dham ki jai, Ganga Jamuna Tulsi, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guru, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachadane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachachade Shatadane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 82, Verse 39. Sri Sukha Uvacha Gopyasta Krishnam Upalabdha Charat Abhishtam Yat Prekshane Drishishu Pakshma Pratam Sapanti Rigbir Hridikritam Alam Parirabhya Sarvas Tadbhavam Apur Api Nicha Yujam Durapam. Sukadev Goswami said, Gopya, the young cowherd women, Cha and Krishna Upalabhya, citing Shirat after a long time, Abhishtam, their object of desire, Yat, whom, Prikshane, while seeing, Drishishu, on their eyes, Pakshma, of lids, Kritam, the maker, Shapanti, they would curse, Drigbi, with their eyes, Shridi Kritam, taken into their hearts, Alam, to their satisfaction, Parirabhya, embracing, Sarva, all of them, Tat, in him, Bhavam, ecstatic absorption, Apuhu, attained, Api, even though, Nitya, constantly, Yujam, for those who engage in yogic discipline, Durapam, difficult to attain. Translation. Sukadev Goswami said, while gazing at their beloved Krishna, the young gopis used to condemn the creator of their eyelids, which would momentarily block their vision of him. Now, seeing Krishna again after such a long separation with their eyes, they took him into their hearts, and there they embraced him to their full satisfaction. In this way, they became totally absorbed in ecstatic meditation on him, although those who constantly practice mystic yoga find such absorption difficult to achieve. Purport, according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, just then Lord Balaram saw the gopis standing a short distance away. Seeing them trembling with eagerness to meet Krishna and apparently ready to give up their lives if they could not, he tactfully decided to get up and involve himself elsewhere. Then the gopis, then the gopis attained the state described in the current verse, and referring to the gopis' intolerant disrespect of Lord Brahma, the creator of eyelids, Sukadev Goswami is giving vent to his own subtle jealousy of the gopis' favored position. Srila Jiva Goswami offers an alternate understanding of the phrase Nitya Yujam, which may mean even of the Lord's principal queens who tend to be proud of their constant association with him. In Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, Srila Prabhupada writes, because they had been separated from Krishna for so many years, the gopis, having come along with Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yasoda, felt intense ecstasy in seeing Krishna. No one can even imagine how anxious the gopis were to see Krishna again. As soon as Krishna became visible to them, they took him inside their hearts through their eyes and embraced him to their full satisfaction. even though they were embracing Krishna only mentally, they became so ecstatic and overwhelmed with joy that for the time being they completely forgot themselves. The ecstatic trance which they achieved simply by mentally embracing Krishna is impossible to achieve even for great yogis constantly engaged in meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna could understand that the Gopis were wrapped in ecstasy by embracing him in their minds, and therefore, since he is present in everyone's heart, he also reciprocated the embracing from within. Translation: Sukadev Goswami said, while gazing at their beloved Krishna, the young Gopis used to condemn the creator of their eyelids, which would momentarily block their vision of him. Now, seeing Krishna again after such long separation with their eyes, they took him into their hearts, and there they embraced him to their full satisfaction. In this way, they became totally absorbed in ecstatic meditation on him, although those who constantly practice mystic yoga find such absorption difficult to achieve. So after describing Krishna meeting with Nanda and Yasoda, we have here a description of how the Gopis first met Krishna. And this first phrase here describes their intense relationship with him. So that is that they curse their eyelids because the eyelids create momentarily an obstacle for their seeing Krishna. So this is one remarkable characteristic of the Gopis that is not manifest in other types of devotees at all. So it's one of their special characteristics of to indicate their intense attachment to Krishna. So it's a symptom of Mahabhava, which no one else has, not even the queens of Dwarka. So it's a very high state of love of Krishna. So this indicates that they cannot bear separation from Krishna, and the vision, if it is obstructed even for a few seconds, that it causes them great pain. So another symptom to express this is that one moment feels like a yuga. So in separation from Krishna, just for a moment, it feels as the separation were a whole yuga. And then the contrary is there, that even though they associate for Krishna for so long, it's like a 1 second this association. So these again are outstanding qualities of the Gopis in their love for Krishna due to that intense love, which does not manifest in the others. So we don't find this type of description even in relation to Yasoda and Nanda on seeing Krishna and separation from Krishna, but it's present in the Gopis. So they had an even more intense relationship with Krishna than all the other people of Vrindavan. So a moment's separation is difficult to bear, but the Gopis now had a chance to meet Krishna. So this was after long separation, not just the separation of a moment due to the eyelids blinking. And this is many, many years later. So the separation was not momentary, but very, very long. So therefore, how much they had to tolerate for years on end, what to speak of seconds when the eyelids blink. So for years on end, they had to tolerate separation from Krishna. So then, when they finally got to meet him, then the contrary state is there, how much joy they would get on seeing him after such separation. So in this way, not only is there a description of separation, but there's also a description of the great bliss
that the gopis experience on meeting with Krishna. Huh? So, at this time, Krishna was not alone. He was surrounded by many people. And here Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary explains that Balaram was also there, but then he also left because that created an obstacle for the gopis to express themselves properly. Still, it was very difficult for the gopis to relate directly with Krishna in that setting. So they didn't directly approach him, but here is explained that they began to embrace him with their internally, through their eyes. So through their eyes, they brought the form of Krishna into their hearts, and there they began to embrace Krishna. And Krishna also, of course, responded to that. This is also, we could say, a display of their great love for Krishna. Their eyes could now see Krishna, but still they could not relate with him in the same way as in Vrindavan. But they managed to do so by taking Krishna inside them, and therefore embracing him there. So again, a great sign of great attachment that they had for Krishna by acting in this way. So this bhava, or this great love that they attained, is described in the last line as difficult or impossible to attain by those who are nitya yuja. They constantly involved in joining with him. So yuja means to join together or to be absorbed in. And of course the word yoga also means to join together. So therefore they may be taken as yogis who are constantly engaged in meditation, nitya yujas. Those are the people that find it difficult to have that same type of bhava, even though they are constantly practicing absorption in the Lord. They cannot absorb themselves in the same way as the gopis. Or, as the alternative explanation of Jiva Goswami, it was hard even for those who are constantly associated with Krishna and Dwarka. That is, the queens of Dwarka. It was difficult for them to attain this same type of bhava. So, in other words, the gopis are superior to the queens of Dwarka, even though the queens of Dwarka are also in Madhurya Rasa. The intensity of the relationship is not the same as that of the gopis. So even the queens of Dwarka could not attain that same love. So generally, Madhurya Rasa is considered to be more intense. So in Vrindavan, of course, and the gopis are considered to be the highest because they have the most intense relationship. And in Dwarka, among all the personalities there, then the queens are considered to have the most intense relationship because they have Madhurya Rasa with Krishna, so they have the most attachment for him. But in comparison, the gopis of Vrindavan have a greater intensity of their Madhurya Rasa than the queens have in Dwarka. So, of course, in Ujjwal Nilamani there, it is explained by Rupa Goswami that the queens of Dwarka do not attain that state of Mahabhava, which is the most intense state. That's a unique feature of the gopis of Vrindavan. So, the gopis here are praised for their unique position in relation to Krishna. Constant absorption in him, manifested in this way by taking Krishna within them and always desiring to see him, and if they can't see him, then they fall into the greatest pains of separation, even if it's only for a few seconds. So in Dwarka, there was an opportunity here to meet Krishna, but it's actually not the same, as we will see later on also. Not quite the same as previously. One, because of all the other people there, and the atmosphere was quite different. And it wasn't Vrindavan, so therefore the same mood could not be evoked in this place. So, nevertheless, there was some sense of satisfaction on meeting Krishna, and that here is expressed by their joy on meeting Krishna again and being able to see him after such a long absence. So, therefore, this was not a complete solution to the Gopis' problem, and of course the problem of all the people in Vrindavan. It was a temporary solution, a temporary appeasement of their pain of separation. But it was, we can say, some sort of compromise. So that which acted as some sort of we can say appeasement. But finally, of course, there has to be a solution. So that is why it's explained that Krishna did return later on permanently, and he continued his pastimes in Vrindavan after that point. So this is not a final solution to anything. It is a temporary appeasement of the persons there, the Gopis and all the others of Vrindavan, and also temporary for Krishna. But nevertheless, it gives some sort of sense of satisfaction to the Gopis and the other people of Vrindavan because of this. Because it is not completely satisfying, therefore we see in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes that during the Ratha Yatra, he took the Ratha Yatra as the attempt of the people of Vrindavan to bring Krishna back to Vrindavan, because Kurukshetra was not that ideal for them. So the perfect position is when Krishna is in Vrindavan. So that is the final solution for the people of Vrindavan. So though it is not described in detail, there's some minor references in Bhagavatam to this, because in one place, I think in the first or third canto there, it says that sometimes Krishna goes back to the area of Mathura, and therefore the people of Dwarka get separated from him. So there's an explanation, some mention in the previous cantos like that. So as explained by our acharyas, that means that Krishna went back to Vrindavan from Dwarka at a certain time. So then the Padma Purana is quoted also to support that, where it definitely says he went there after killing Dantavakra. More details are given by Jiva Goswami in the Gopal Champu, where he describes in detail how Krishna went back there. And of course, when the people of Vrindavan went back to returned from Kurukshetra, they actually didn't go back to Vrindavan, they went to another place, because going back to Vrindavan reminded them so much of Krishna. So they went to another settlement there within Raja, somewhere else, which wasn't exactly the same place, out of lamentation. And then finally describes how Krishna killed Dantavakra, and then very eagerly he came to Vrindavan, and then he met everyone. They heard his conch shell, and he came with his chariot and everything, and then they all welcomed him, and then everyone became very blissful, and Krishna greeted everyone. And then Krishna continued as before in Vrindavan, not like a person of Dwarka, but he continued his pastimes as a cowherd, just as he did previously. And ultimately, this is an eternal pastime that continues after that point. That's the solution given by Jiva Goswami. The other difference, of course, between Dwarka and Mathura and Vrindavan is the queens were married to Krishna, whereas in Vrindavan the gopis were not married to Krishna. So this creates also some sort of difference, and that parakiya relationship of the gopis with Krishna creates some intensity in their relationship with Krishna. Because there are more obstacles to fulfilling their desires. Right? So that's also another cause of intensity of the relationship. Right? So in any case, this is a glorification of the gopis' love for Krishna. And here Sukadev Goswami is the speaker. He is describing this situation here. As the commentary explains, he, in one sense, expresses the supreme position of the gopis with a little bit of jealousy because of their extreme high position of love for Krishna, in which they can't tolerate such a small separation. Huh? So, and it's also, of course, a praise, Sukadev's praise for the love of the gopis. In the beginning of the Bhagavatam, there it actually praises Sukadev Goswami for his recitation of the Bhagavatam, and it indicates there that it became sweeter because of Sukadev's recitation. So why did it become sweeter? Because Sukadev was relishing the exalted love that the gopis had for Krishna. So therefore, the work became very, very sweet because of his realization of that love, which is expressed in such verses as this, where he indicates the nature of their love for Krishna.
Is Balaram was living with Krishna in Dwaraka?
Yeah. They lived together. Sometimes, of course, Krishna sometimes left if we go to Hastinapur or other places, and sometimes Balaram also left. But majority of the time they were both living in Dwarka.
Maharaj, you just mentioned that, if I understand properly, Maharaj, Sukadev relished the Madhurya Rasa of the gopis. I mean, he appreciated the gopis' relationship with Krishna the highest. We see in the beginning of Sukadev's pastimes, when he was walking naked, the women bathing were naked, and then, which showed the exalted position of Sukadev, not being, even those who are taking bath were able to appreciate. On the contrary, he is appreciating the Gopi Baba as the highest. How to understand it in the right way, Maharaj?
Well, in the first instance, that he was considered more exalted than Vedavyas because he was, let's say, so absorbed in highest type of realization that he was not affected by anything in the material world. But we should not think that therefore Vyasadeva was thinking in the gunas, because he's obviously a avatar of the Supreme Lord, so he can't be in Maya. But playing roles within pastimes, Vyasadeva was a grihasta and Sukadev was a renunciate from birth. He just walked away from the home. So when he walked away, then he was considered to be untouched by the material world completely. Of course, the women who saw them, then they appreciated that, and they still took Vyasadeva as a grihastha, so therefore they covered themselves when he came. So this, of course, not an absolute vision because both are exalted, but just to indicate the detachment that Sukadev had. But at that point, he had not heard the Bhagavatam. And then later on, it's described that Vyasadeva sent his students there to recite Bhagavatam to him. And then he was in trance, like nirvana. But when he heard about Krishna's pastimes, he broke his trance and he began relishing the pastimes of Krishna. So, from that point then, he became a devotee rather than simply a Brahmavadi. And he became, he developed this very great taste for the pastimes of Krishna, which surpassed even the realization of Vedavyas, because he relished it so much, so it became sweeter. So, in other words, he got a very high realization by the mercy of Krishna of the pastimes in Vrindavan.
Maharaj, in the context of the Gopis condemning Lord Brahma for creating the eyelids, in the same line that even the Gopis also condemn if they get a bliss while serving Krishna or seeing Krishna, and because of that their body shiver and they are not able to serve or fan Krishna properly, and then they even condemn such ecstasy. Is that on the parallel line, if we understand?
Well, I suppose so. Anything which obstructs their vision of Krishna or their service to Krishna, they will criticize. Of course, ultimately, it is not literal in one sense because they don't have material eyes to begin with, and nothing is, everything in the spiritual world is absolute. So even the ecstasies are absolute. So that in one sense they cannot be criticized. They're simply symptoms of their love. And that's also pleasing to the Lord because it indicates how much they love Krishna. But if it's going to disturb their particular service to the Lord, then they may criticize it in some way. But that's only the nature of their bhava. We don't take those words literally, but it's simply the emotions that they feel because of their strong love for Krishna, that this is somehow an interruption of that. But from the broader point of view, these are all parts of rasa. So their sattvika bhavas and their brahmachari bhavas and their sthayi bhava and the anubhavas are all mixed together and they support rasa. So it's all combined to produce rasa. So they may look like obstacles, but actually they're all part of rasa.
Generally we see in the case of Maharaj just mentioned about the obstacles increase the intensity of the gopis. So similarly sadhaka can also take all the obstacles or only to increase his intense devotion to Krishna.
Yeah, the more advanced devotees do so. The less advantaged devotees simply lament their situation. But the more advanced devotees, they take that their separation as a type of to increase their desire for the Lord. That's that feeling of separation from the Lord. So they use it to advantage, in other words.
For the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Srimad Bhagavatam is the ultimate, but we also find the 6 Goswamis analyzed the various scriptures and also quoted various scriptures wherever it is needed. How to understand that?
Well, generally they're quoting other scriptures to support what the Bhagavatam says, that's all. Or to support a particular interpretation of the Bhagavatam that they have. So, if they make a statement and it may be controversial, others will say, oh, well, you're just interpreting the Bhagavatam to mean this or that. Then they'll quote from outside to show that not only Bhagavatam says this, but other places as well. Like Upanishads or another Purana or something. So, to support the conclusion of Bhagavatam.
Maharaj, this Gopis, I mean, this is completely a spiritual emotion where they are condemning Brahma. But can we also say that there is a lesson for sadhakas also, that not being on that platform but exhibiting those symptoms like Sahajiyas? like Sahajias wouldn't really be on this transcendental platform, but they would exhibit artificially those ecstatic symptoms.
Yeah.
So is there a lesson for sadhakas also in, like Gopis give more preference to the service rather than exhibiting those symptoms, or?
Well, in this case, it's not really a symptom, it's just blinking the eyelids, which is we can say, a physical arrangement of Lord Brahma for bodies in the material world, but they don't have material bodies, but they act kind of like material bodies, so it's not actually a symptom of ecstasy or whatever. So in the case where they would criticize ecstatic symptoms as being an obstacle, it obviously shows their exalted nature and that they're not trying to show ecstatic symptoms, whereas a person in the material world who tries to show ecstatic symptoms for material reasons, obviously he's defeating the whole purpose. The whole idea of the sattvika bhavas is they're spontaneous because of one's prema. It's not that you're trying to display your prema to anybody. They're just secondary effects of the prema.
Maharaj, one more thing.
Similar incident. What is that?
Maharaj, you said that the sweetness of Sukadev Goswami came from his realizations, and we understand that realization comes by the mercy of the Lord, which actually comes through the mercy of the devotee. So here we see that Sukadev Goswami had a higher realization. I mean, he heard the verses from the disciples of Vyasadeva, then later he heard from Vyasadeva, but he had a higher realization after hearing than even the speaker.
Yeah, he also got the mercy of Krsna. So Krsna was invited by Vyasadeva to come to the Himalayas to persuade Sukadev to come out of the womb. So that Krsna persuaded him and gave him a blessing that he would never be affected by the material world. So he got the mercy of Krsna directly there also.
So Maharaj, can we say that which means the disciples can actually get higher realizations and grace than their spiritual master?
Yeah, possible.
Krishna has
but maybe from some other person, but then again that other person maybe also be considered spiritual master. So Krishna could be the spiritual master also, obviously, because he gave mercy or whatever like that. So
Krishna has a different relationship with unmarried Gopis, and he also married Rukmani and Satyabhama. Why Krishna never married Radha Krishna officially, like Lord Balaram married Rohini, right?
Never married?
Why Krishna never got married officially?
To the Gopis?
No, he has unmarried relationship to Gopis. Gopis are unmarried, there are Gopis.
Yeah.
And Krishna also married Rukmani and Satyabhama and all that. But why Krishna never married Radharani?
Well, if you look in Gopal Champu there, he does get married. He marries Radha and all the Gopis in Vrindavan.
One is a proposed question with regard to a disciple having a more realization than the spiritual master. At the same time, the disciple never feels that he is highly realized. That's the most important thing. He never thinks that he is much more than the spiritual master.
Yeah.
Never.
They're never proud of their position. They surpassed anybody. In fact, the Gopis are the highest, but they consider themselves the lowest. So the higher you go, the lower you feel.
Maharaj, last line of the verse said this, Nityusam and Durapam. This word, can you say that with these two words, we can say that it establishes the Parakya Rasa is the more intense than the Sokya Rasa?
Well, that's Vishwanath's conclusion, that the Parakya is superior in the sense it's more intense. And therefore the Gopis in the Parakya Rasa are considered to be the highest. That's his conclusion.
Because the queens in Dwaraka, they're always with Krishna, but it's still...
And obviously they don't go up to Mahabhava, the queens, whereas the Gopis do, so therefore we can say that is a sign that they're on a higher level.
And the question meeting Krishna with Brajavasis in Kurukshetra, seems that it's like a coincidence because Krishna doesn't know, even Gopis also doesn't know that they are all coming together. Is it not a coincidence meeting all together in Kurukshetra?
Well, they planned, the people of Vrindavan planned, they heard that Krishna was going to Kurukshetra, so they said, okay, we'll go there to meet him. So that was a plan, it wasn't accidental, that they didn't know and suddenly they arrived there and they were also there. No, they knew. They planned to come there, to meet Krishna, because they've been separated so long.
And we also see the Gopis seeing Krishna after a long time, which means they also lived longer, if you understand.
What's that?
Krishna's pastime here was almost 125 years or something. And this pastime takes place at the later part of their pastime, which means Gopis also lived a longer duration like that of Krishna.
Longer than?
Longer duration of life like that of Krishna.
Well, obviously they're eternal, so nobody, they live forever actually, and they never grow old. Huh? But this event actually was not so distant from the killing of Kamsa. It was not so far, it was maybe a few years later. Though this is mentioned at the end of the Bhagavatam as if it were way off in the thing. It actually wasn't. It was before the Kurukshetra war, before all the other incidents took place, etc., etc. So, Krishna lived 125 years, but a lot of that, some of that was after the Kurukshetra war, after that. So, but this was long before, anyway.
Hari